Really, I am. I'd be delighted to marry you.
No one ever suspected it was a marriage of convenience, that Cynthia had once loved and lost and could never love again, or that I was only half a person whose real love lay buried in the darkness of forgotten years. The memory of those years returned with tantalizing half-glimpses, a word here, a conversation there, painfully retrieved from the shadows, a random harvest. And then one night we attended a concert. And as I glanced through the program notes, which included the usual laudatory quotes from small-town critics, a single word flew at me. Melbury. Melbury. I'd never been there, that is, in this consciousness. But I knew it, knew the town. That was it. Melbury.
What's wrong, dear?
Cynthia. Do you mind very much sitting this out alone? I've just remembered something I must attend to.
I'll come with you.
No. You stay here. I'd better handle this alone.
Will you be late?
I don't know. You'd better not wait up.
All right, Charles.
I walked up the aisle of the auditorium feeling tense, apprehensive, and yet almost ecstatically happy. I felt like a child tiptoeing down the stairs on Christmas morning. Outside, I hailed a cab, and it was just after 1 a.m. that I reached the market square of Melbury. Pull up here, driver.
Right, Governor.
Here you are. Keep the change.
Thank you, sir. Good night.
Good night. I looked about the little square. I somehow knew the place. The chemist's, the greengrocer, the little stationery shop. But that wasn't what I'd come to Melbury for. Excuse me, officer.
Yes, sir? You looking for somewhere?
Yes, the hospital. Where is the hospital?
You mean the new one or the old one, sir?
Well, the old one, I expect. It's on a hill, has big gates, and a high wall around it.
Ah, that doesn't sound much like either of them, sir. I wonder if you mightn't be thinking of the insane asylum.
And now with our stars, Ronald Colman and Benita Hume, we bring you the second act of Random Harvest.
The insane asylum. As the policeman in Melbury said those words, suddenly, vividly, I began to remember what had happened there 3 years ago. And as I remembered, I began to relive those first dark moments. I was running. It wasn't night anymore. It was day, a cold, rainy day, and I had no overcoat. I was running out through the tall iron gates of the asylum. And there was a bicycle.
Here, come back.
I fled down the long black road, shining in the rain. Just outside the village, I left the bicycle and, trying desperately to look casual, walked down a narrow block and into the square. There, not 20 feet away, was the broad back of a policeman. There was a shop at my elbow. I ducked in.
I tell you, this flu's awful. Everybody in the cast has got it.
Excuse me, dearie, while I wait on this man.
Yeah, of course.
What can I do for you, sir?
I'd like some cigarettes, please.
Yes, sir. What kind?
I don't remember.
Don't remember?
Gold flakes, please.
Oh, yes. I might have some of them in the back room. I won't be a minute. You wait here.
She's gone to fetch somebody. She knows where you're from. The Army Hospital, huh?
What's that?
You're an escaped patient, aren't you?
I'm all right, really.
Oh, you don't look very well. Look, you can walk out of here with me if you like.
With you?
But yes, they won't be looking for a soldier with a woman.
That's very kind of you.
Well, come along then. Hurry.
I feel sort of dizzy.
You will lean on me if you like.
There's nothing wrong with me. Just a stammer. Not being able to remember things.
Well, I didn't think you looked dangerous. Have you got any plans?
No. No.
Oh, I don't like that cough, old boy. You're not coming down with the flu, are you?
I don't think so. I just this cough and a little weak in the knees.
Well, you'd better get out of this rain. Here, why don't you come over to the hotel and dry yourself out?
I don't want to get you in trouble.
Oh, you won't. By the way, what's your name?
That's one of the things I don't remember.
Oh, well, there's always Smith. Well, Smithy, how do you feel now?
Rather knocked out. How did I get here?
Oh, you've had the flu. You were delirious most of the time.
What's this place?
It's a hotel. I live here, too.
I suppose I really should go back to the hospital.
Oh, is that what you want to do?
No, but I can't hide out here. I haven't any money, and it isn't fair to you.
Oh, now stop that, Smithy. It's not costing a penny. The theatre's been closed by the epidemic, so I haven't a thing else to do but play nurse to you.
You're an actress?
Yes. Is that all right?
Oh, why, of course. I like the theater, I think.
Well, that's good, because I think I may be able to get you a job with the company as soon as you're well enough to work.
But I'm no actor. I'm sure of that much.
Well, there are other jobs in the theater besides acting.
Why are you taking all this trouble over me?
Why, Smithy, don't you know? It's because I've fallen for you hook, line, and sinker.
When I was on my feet again, I took the job that was offered. It was the only way to pay back what I owed her. I fully intended to return to the hospital when that had been done. But with each passing day, I realized more certainly that I no longer wanted to regain my memory. She had fallen for Smith. I wanted to go on being Smith because I had fallen for her. I no longer cared what might be hidden in my past. I lived for the present and for the future with her.
But, Smithy, they're bound to ask a lot of questions at the registry office.
What sort of questions?
Well, they might ask the one question I've been afraid to ask.
And what's that, darling?
Have you ever been married before?
No.
But how can you be sure?
Yes, that's right. How can I? Paula, I love you. Will you marry me?
Yes, Smithy. Yes.
And so we were married at St. Clement's Church. For our honeymoon, we went to Sussex and took a cottage. And there, in the peace of that quiet, beautiful countryside, I made a discovery. I could write. I wrote our story. But it wasn't just a story of a man who had forgotten his past. I tried to make it the story of a whole world emerging from the dark shadow of the war and building a new life for itself. And when I had finished it, I sent it to a publisher.
Listen, Smithy, listen to this. I've just finished reading your manuscript. I find it fresh, inviting, and very readable. Would you find it convenient to run down here to Liverpool on Wednesday next?
Would I find it convenient?
Oh, darling, I wish I could go with you.
But of course you're going with me.
No, Smithy, we must be practical. We haven't much money left, you know.
Oh, I'll hit the chapter in advance.
No, Smithy, I think I'd better wait here. Well, you know, we might decide to simply stay in London or something, and I want us to live here, in this cottage. Oh, we've been so happy.
This cottage, our cottage. Here's where my life began with you, and where my future goes on with you. There's nothing else, Paula.
Oh, darling, forgive me for saying so. I hope you never remember.
So do I, Paula. I love you so much.
I love you too, Smithy. You'll hurry back to me, won't you, darling?
You'll hardly notice I've been away. And then I was walking down the path and through the little gate, and I turned. I can see it so clearly. She waves, and I want to turn back. But I cannot see her face. Good morning, Sheldon. Mrs. Rainier down yet?
Yes, Mr. Charles. She's in the breakfast room.
Oh, you're back, Charles. Is everything all right?
I found out there was another woman.
Have you seen her?
No, I haven't.
Were you married to her?
Yes, I was. Oh, that is, I guess I am.
You're still in love with her?
Cynthia, I hate doing this to you, but you must see that I...
How will you find her?
I'll start with Mrs. Denver's. We rented the cottage from her.
Mrs. Denver's.
I can't explain everything, Mrs. Denver's. It's too long a story, but you must tell me. What happened after I went to Liverpool that day?
Well, your wife stayed on in the cottage for a few weeks, and then one day she left quite suddenly. It was after reading something in the newspaper. There was an ad for a secretary, and she decided to go and apply for it.
She never came back?
No, sir, she never came back. The cottage has stood empty ever since.
Mrs. Denver's...
Yes, Mr. Smith?
Might I have the key to the cottage? I'd like to go in and look at it again.
But it isn't locked, Mr. Smith. Here, cut across my garden. It's only a few steps that way.
Thank you, Mrs. Denver's.
I always knew you'd come back, Mr. Smith.
Hello, Smithy.
Paula.
Oh, Smithy, you do know me. You do. You do.
How could I have been so blind? Why didn't you tell me?
It had to come this way, Smithy. Naturally. Of its own. And in its own time.
Oh, it's been so long. And yet we've not been apart. My darling Paula. Remember what I said when I left here for Liverpool that day?
What was that, darling?
You'll never notice I've been away.
Ronald Coleman and Benita Hume will be back in just a moment. Where is the woman who used to slave over a hot stove all day? Why, she's keeping cool while her dinner is cooked automatically on a handsome new General Electric Speedster range. That's right, you don't have to stay in the kitchen while cooking oven meals because the automatic oven timer watches over dinner while the dinner cooks itself. And if you do stay in the kitchen using both the oven and those fast Calrod surface units, your kitchen can be 8 to 16 degrees cooler than if you were cooking with a flame. Cooking is so easy with a GE Speedster, too. It has GE push-button controls, telecook lights that tell at a glance just what's cooking, fast heating, easy-to-clean GE Calrod units, and GE's great new Speedster range has a giant-sized triple oven, large enough to hold a party-size ham or turkey, with plenty of room left for other foods on the second shelf. See your GE dealer tomorrow about a cool-cooking General Electric Speedster range. You can own one for about $4.09 a week after a small down payment. And now our stars, Ronald Coleman and Benita Hume.
Well, I'd like to say, Ken, that General Electric appliances certainly help make our home life more pleasant. And I'm sure that Ronnie will agree with me.
I do indeed. But you know, Ken, that our being here tonight is something rather special.
Oh, for the three of us, you mean?
Yes. This is the first time we've worked together since our Halls of Ivy days.
Yeah, and I, for one, have missed it.
I have too, Benita. And thank you both for being with us tonight.
Thank you. Good night,
Good night.
everybody.